I want to show us how to use index and match function and why you should use it in place of VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP as well. Because this index and match function is so dynamic and can give you any value you are looking for across the rows and across the rows and across the column by just writing a single formula, and then you drag to the right and you drag down as well. So what does index function entail? Index function, this is what it does. Index function requires you to provide it an array. Provide an array of data like this, and then you also supply it the row numbers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 5. So row number as well. This is column numbers, which is 1, 2, up to 5 as well. So index function will ask you, where is your array? So you highlight the range, which is this one. This is your range. And index function also asks you, what is the row number? So maybe you can pick 2. And it will ask you what's the column number, maybe you pick 5, depending on what you are looking for. We'll get this 5 and 2 dynamically. So how do we proceed? So you need to look for the row index, and then you also need to look for the column index. So once you're able to do this, you supply it to the index function, and then the index function will return your result. So let us go. So I need to get the row number of this particular row 1. Row 1 here. What is the row number of this row 1? Remember, I'm dealing with this range. I'm also dealing with this particular range, the column. Then this is where my data sets are. So what do? I'll say match. I'll use the function match. So match requires 3 arguments: lookup value, lookup array, and match type. So what's my lookup value? I want to look up for this row 1. It's asking you, what is the lookup array? Where, within what range do you want to look for this row 1? Within this particular one. I want to return the number, comma. What is the match type? It said that it is approximate match or exact match. So I want to do exact match. So I'll choose 0, close the bracket, and press 1. Press enter. So this is 1. Then the next one is to do the column index, which is to look for the column within this column header. So I want to look for what value? Column 4 within which column within this place. What kind of match? Exact match 0. Press enter. So I haven't been able to do this now. I will now supply index function with this particular value. So I'll say I'm looking for row 1 and column 4. That stops here, which is the intersection, which is what this space. This is what I want to get. So I will supply that to the index function. I will now say index. Index asks me what is the array. The array is here. This is where my data points are. They're asking me what is the column number. Column number is the row. Row number is the row index. It's asking me for the column number, which is the column index. I close the bracket. So that's giving me this value. So you can see that's giving me this value. So if I change this to maybe column 2, you can see that it has moved here. It has moved here. So if I change this one to column 3, you can see that it has also moved here, which is the value. So that's how to get index. That's how to index your data. So the next thing is I want to do a nesting of the match function inside the index function. It's the same thing with what I've done with that, but you need to next it as well. It's not every time you will break it down like this. You also want to do the nesting. So nesting is asking you, what's the array? This is my array, comma. What is the row number? So instead of me finding the row number separately, like we did here, we're going to nest it. So I'll say match. Lookup value for the row is row 2. Within what particular range is within this particular one, comma. Type of match is 0. I close the bracket. So I press comma to look for the column number. So column number 2, I'll use match. Match of what? Match of column 4 within this particular header of column. Exact type is 0. Close the bracket for match. Close the bracket for index, and then I get the same value. So this is how to do index and match with the sample data. So we'll move to something of a live example. So here I want to get the value of apple produced for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then I will drag down for the value. And my data set is coming from here. You can see production for January 2022. So production for January 2022. So it's coming from here. So I need to get the values from here and then put it here. How do I get that? I will need to use what? Index and match to get the values, because the values are not arranged. You can see our orange is up here, apple is down here, whereas in this our apple is up here and the rest are not arranged. So I need to use index and match function. How do I go about it? I'll say index. Index asking me for array. Where is the array? Where is my data? Array. They are all here. This particular value are what I'm looking for. So I'll stop there. It's asking me next one. Row number. What's the row number? I'll use match to get the row number. Match of what? Match of, I'm looking for this particular apple, because apples, the fruits are on the rows. I'll choose apple. I will lock the column by pressing F4, toggle it, comma. I'm using the formula bar to edit my functions so I can see it easily. So the next thing is lookup array. Lookup array for the rows are here. Lookup array is always a range. Then match type is 0. I close the bracket for the row number. Then the next one is the column number. I have to do a match as well. Match of what? Lookup value. Lookup value is here. I need to lock the row number. It's asking me for the lookup array, which is this array, comma, exact match, close the bracket, and then I close the bracket for the index, press enter, and then I get 67. If I copy, paste here, paste also across the rows, I have my answers correctly validated. So this is about doing for when you have a single value you are doing match for. Single value, which is the apple, the fruits, and then the week numbers. So the next example I will do will be on when you look for multiple values. Multiple values. You look for multiple values. So that will take us to the next. So in this example, my data set is different. It says that I have month here, I have year here, I have name of fruit, and then I have the week numbers. So I need to look for orange for 2020 in January. I also need to look for maybe blackberry February 2020. So this is different. So I need to look for composite keys or multiple keys, month, year, and name of fruit. So that is a bit different. So we'll do what we call composite indexing. Composite indexing. How do we go about it? Pretty simple. Well, with a little bit of a little twist, which we can easily maneuver through. So index is asking me for array as usual. Array is where my data units are. So I'll go to the where my data are. Now I light from here to here, Control Shift down, comma. Then it's asking me for the row number. So the row number for here is where the complexity is, because I have month, year, and name of fruit. So first of all, I'll type my match. So match now is asking me what is the lookup value. Lookup value now, I'll come to my report. Lookup value for here now will be months. So I'll choose the month first. You can see month. After choosing the month, I'll use ampersand like this. I'll choose the year. So I'll concatenate them. And I'll say, I'll concatenate again with the name of fruit, which is this one. And I'll make sure I lock it. I'll make sure I lock it to the column by pressing F4. So the B part is locked, and then the row is left to be absolute relative. So comma. So the next one is asking me for the lookup array. So lookup array, I'll come to my data set. So for me to do, since I've already done a composite for my lookup value, I need to do composite also for the lookup array. So and in the same order, so month, year, and the fruit. So I'll start from here, and then I'll take the year, which is the next one after the month, and then I'll take the name of fruits, and then I'll press comma. Match type is exact 0. So that concludes the one for the row number. So we need to do the column number now, match. So match is asking me for lookup value. Lookup value, we have to come back to the report and choose week 1. Then I'll lock the row number because I'm dealing with row 6. It will not change as I drag to the right. So I'll lock the 6 and leave this C open, comma. What is the lookup array for the match? Come here and choose the header. For the week, it's not a composite key, it's just 1, 1, 1, 1 like that. So comma, type of match is 0, close the bracket for match, close the bracket for index, press enter, then you copy to the right and you copy down, and then you get your values. So this is how to do index and match function. It may have taken some time, but the good thing is that you write the formula once, you drag to the right, then you drag down. You don't need to be changing the value of the. Usually, when you do VLOOKUP, you have to be changing the value of the column manually, or you use HLOOKUP. But with index function, once you have written it once, you drag to the right and then you drag down as well, and then that concludes your analysis. You can see that the values are changing for each of the weeks and for each of the fruits as well. So let's say we want for 2023, and this gives us an error because there's no value for 2023 in our data set. So when you have such an error, you don't want to show it because it's pretty annoying. What you can do is to wrap it in a function called if error. If error. So if error requires two arguments, which is value and value if error. So this is the value if there is nothing wrong. This should be the value, and then you come to the end of the formula function, and then you press command, and it's asking you for value if error. The value if error is I want to return blank, which is double quotes, and I press enter. So that should be able to undo that. I copy paste, then I copy as well, and I paste down, and that is it. So if I choose a month, a year that has value, or have value, if I choose a year that has no value, nothing is returned and it returns blank. You can choose to return any value you want. You can choose to return not found or whatever value you want. So that's how to test your function. So this is a very brief tour of index and match function. So I believe you've been able to get something valuable. So if you have any question, please drop them in the comment section. And there are areas you want me to cover, please also write them in the comment section. I'll make best efforts to cover them in future video. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.